talking about seasonal decorating, one easy place to start is by choosing a color palette. And an easy way to choose a color palette is by starting with an inspiration piece. Inspiration pieces can be anything in your home that you already have that make you think of spring or whatever season you're decorating in. They can be monochromatic or they can be multicolored. They can have pattern, they can have texture, whatever it is that makes you think of spring. Let me give you a few ideas. So this one is just what it looks like, a bright yellow umbrella. The color, of course, is sunny as a reminder of spring, what's to come. It is very monochromatic. So I wouldn't necessarily decorate with all yellow, but I would definitely use this as something I would want to have in my home on repeat. There is a pattern on here. You can't see it maybe very easily. It is like a hexagon. And if I have anything that is hexagon, I could also bring that in as well. I have an apron, and in my apron you can see lots of greens, some deep greens, sage greens. You can see peach, light peach, dark peach, whites, corals, creams, and then you even have this deeper pink here. And this, of course, I would not have in my living room. I would have it in my kitchen. And so when I'm thinking about having a color palette, I want to have that color palette represented similarly to how I would have my floor plan color palette. If the area is an open room, open concept, I want that color palette to flow room to room to room to room. Maybe it'll be more dominant pink in one room than green in another. It depends. But having that same color palette represented in each open floor plan room, open floor concept room, would be a good thing. Here is an idea of having a color palette that is based with color as well as pattern. If I have stripes here, then I might have stripes represented somewhere else. These two go really well together. The blues of the books are both decorating books, but what you'll see on the spine is you'll see another color palette represented just on the spine alone. Blue, pink, white, yellow, and lime green. So if I chose all of my elements for spring decorating based on this spine, I would have a great color palette. I have a pillow, and on this pillow you can see some chartreuse greens, you can see some deep greens, some mauves, and if you look very closely you'll even notice that there's some embroidery. So if I have elements that have some texture to it, and I can have that texture repeated, that would be a good thing. Your inspiration piece can be art. I have two pieces of art here. One piece of art, let me see if I can get the glare away from here. You've got some light blues, you've got some olives, you've got some deep olives, dark yellows, navy blues, bright blues. But if you look very closely, you'll see polka dots repeated. Now, this clipboard is part of my art. This is how I'm displaying my art in my home. It's just a different way to create a frame. But I have polka dots all over, on the tree, on the birds, on the leaves, on the clipboard, even on the leaves on the side. The wings on the bird as well. So if I'm choosing this as my color palette, I want to also choose things that might have polka dots and have those polka dots repeated somewhere else around the room. Maybe on textiles, blankets, things like that. Now, one thing to note is that because this has so many different colors represented, I might just choose 3 of these that are represented on here to be my color palette. Maybe I'm choosing olive green, yellow, and navy blue. In order to make it cohesive, and especially in an open concept area, you want to have those repeated just like you would any other decorating element. You want to have the olive green repeated at least 3 times, navy blue 3 times, and yellow 3 times. If it is appearing all by itself, and if this is your inspiration piece, that might not be enough repetition in order to get the idea that it is a repeated element. You might think that it is just a bowlie. Here's another good example of another art that has so many colors represented, but the meaning behind the art is also very spring. You make me happy when skies are gray, and this is color. So this is a good example if you love color in your house. Can you have color, and I'm just saying that generically, as your color palette? You can. What I would suggest, and you can have all of these represented if you wanted to, but what I would suggest is that you make sure that you can see orange 3 times, yellow 3 times, aqua, blue, the fuchsia, any of the things that you're wanting to highlight, you can see those at least 3 times within your room or within your sight line. It doesn't have to be within your room. If I'm standing here in my library, but I can see fuchsia represented down the hall, and this is in my library, I need to see it one more time. Can I see it from this sight line? Can I have it on my entryway table in my dining room? Anywhere from my vantage point, can I see it 3 times? Okay, you can also have an inspiration piece by an unsuspecting object, like a soap dispenser. This I just got out recently to replace my used winter soap with peppermint. I'm done with that. Lemon verbena is on the scene, but I'm not necessarily concerned about the smell. What I am concerned about is using all of the colors represented here as part of my color palette. I've got lime greens, some yellows, even some oranges, some teals, and even some purple. So whatever colors I want to have represented in that palette, if they appear on the inspiration piece, they are good to go. And last thing, you can always choose clothing. Clothing can be an inspiration piece, even if this is not going to be necessarily hung on the wall or on the table or on your couch. You can choose it as your inspiration piece. Whatever makes you think of summer or spring or fall or whatever season you're decorating, in this case spring, whatever makes you think of spring, choose it, and now go use this inspiration piece as the starting point to curate items throughout your home in order to create that spring color palette and the spring decorating that we're going for. All right, I hope that is helpful, and I want to see what your spring palette is. You can also start with 3 colors. Sometimes that can be a little bit less daunting than having something that might have lots of color. So what are your 3 colors for your spring palette? I want to know. Post them tomorrow so I can see. And maybe one of these are going to be mine. I haven't decided yet, but I will by tomorrow. Okay, take care, and I'll see you soon.